So Dax, do you go by Dax or do you go by Daxton?
Generally Dax.
Okay.
Mainly because it's easier for other people to remember.
Okay.
So,
I've been encouraged by people who listen to the podcast, who step up to the line every day and also listen every Monday with us, that they want to hear more, not just from CEOs and owners, but they want to hear from the men and women who do the work. And so I connected with you. You actually came in here this afternoon and just came right off the job site, actually, and walked into our offices and sat down here to do a podcast. So I greatly appreciate you giving of your time. And you're managing a team of people out on the job right now. You are a job foreman. And so I'm assuming that they're okay to handle what they need to do today.
yeah, they should be well equipped at this point to handle it.
Good. Hopefully the job isn't burning down. So, yeah.
It is stick built, so never know.
Well, here on the line, it's all about an honest conversation. So you do not have to articulate what you're going to say. You don't have to think through it. It's more about just answering and being honest. And you're in good company that if you say something wrong, because I say things wrong all the time, that you will be able to just keep moving through it. And that's what people want to hear. They want to hear the honest truth. They don't want polished and fake. They want the real you. So I've had quite a few conversations with you, and I know the real you, and I'm very excited to share that with our listeners and those who want to learn more about what it is to be in the trades. And so so you're a foreman with an electrical construction and engineering firm, and you are managing some decent-sized projects and a crew of people. Tell us a little bit, and your name is pronounced Daxton Schatz, right? Did I say that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Schatz.
Daxton Schatz. And you're here on the East Coast, but you're originally from out west.
Yep. And
so pretty much we're going to call you the urban cowboy. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So, or the Pringles guy. I don't know, with that mustache there, man. Yeah, you got that going on. But tell us a little bit about kind of your origins and where you came from and how you ended up here. Like when you were a kid, were you thinking, man, I want to be an electrician,
Yeah. So, I grew up in North Dakota. First 15 years lived there.
Okay.
My grandparents, both my granddads worked at a power plant in more management positions.
Okay.
I've got an uncle that works for a power plant out in North Dakota on a drag line.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, he was an electrician on drag line, and now he's supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah. However, any type of trades were not on my mind growing up. So I moved to Montana with my parents and finished out high school there, sophomore year through senior year. And didn't have really any idea what I wanted to do coming out of high school. Was always told that college was the path.
Your parents told you that, or just people around you?
No, people around me. School counselors.
Yeah.
Teachers.
Why do you think that they were communicating that way? I'm just going to ask this question. Did a school counselor ever be like, you could become a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter?
I think it's all done in good faith. As far as their message, I think the goal is to push younger students to become better than they are.
Right.
And that has been, like, college has been that path for many. And you could say that there's been a lot of like putting down of trades.
Yeah.
Just because they're not sexy.
Yeah.
You're in the dirt. You're sweating all the time.
Well, don't you also think it has something to do with, like, I was just hanging out with my son the other day, and he is coming of age, and we were watching a TV show together. Like, we were just hanging out together. I was feeling a little under the weather, and he was hanging out with me, and we were watching this show, and it was a TV show about being a U.S. Marshal. And it was just the story that was being told about that. You know, I find it really interesting in entertainment. There's not a lot of, like, there's cop shows, there's fighter pilot movies, there's all of these things that people are wanting to tell these stories about. And the crazy thing is, and listen, sometimes work is very mundane. I get that. But it's like, we're not promoting or telling the stories that exist. And we're not doing it in an equitable way, for sure. Because him and I were having a conversation. He's like, oh, it would be so awesome to be a U.S. Marshal. And the funny thing was, he didn't know this, but that's what I wanted to be when I was younger, for the very same reason. I watched some really cool TV shows. There was a show with a guy by the name of, I think Jeff Fahey was his name, called The Marshal, that was on when I was younger. And I watched that show and just thought it was the coolest thing ever, because he was portrayed as a hero, and that's something that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the issues that I struggle with is, although there's something in the air right now related to trades. Jason Statham just came out with a movie called The Working Man, which is all about being a tradesman and a hero simultaneously. Now, it helps that it's Jason Statham. You know, that just makes it awesome. I mean, I've also watched movies with him that just make me want to drive cars fast. So, yeah.
True.
But so you were in high school, you were being, and I like the way that you say it. It was in good faith, but some of that is just, I don't want to use the word ignorance. There's got to be another word for it, but you know, people not understanding the other opportunities that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, there's just this, I guess the idea that I've kind of found is that the, like, school counselors they want you to go on to college, because what's more heroic than being a doctor, saving lives, you know, like that idea. And we need those people.
Well, absolutely.
But
if the ventilator doesn't have power, I would say that's pretty important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That foundation of skilled tradesmen, has been neglected in the schools, for sure.
Well, and I mean, pardon me. The reality is, I think that the blame, actually, I can't blame anybody else for that. I feel like that really lies with us as tradespeople, because we're not telling our stories. We're not communicating. And I know, you know, here at Blackline, that's our business, is to tell your story. So that can seem a little self-serving to say that, but the reality is, I just saw a post today from a guy that was commenting on wanting to promote businesses and how he continues to not be allowed to go to job sites, and even at his own expense, going there to take photos and videos and tell their story, and people still don't want him to go there. And I think a lot of it is fear. Like, companies and people are afraid of, well, what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to promote that?
Yeah. And
rightfully so. But the reality is, we don't communicate. Like, I was married for years before, actually many, many years, because my wife would say, until, you know, we started promoting our story as a company, she didn't even really know what it was that I did. And part of that was, what we do in the trades is relatively exclusive. You know, I had a buddy the other day shoot me a text. Maybe I'm not allowed to say this. I don't know. But you know who you are. And he's working on this big job in Atlanta. And they had bored a hole down deep into the ground. Looks like a giant cave, you know. And and they're working there, and he was taking the elevator up out of the hole, and he texted me this video, and it just looks awesome. I mean, it's just sick. But it's like, for eons, you know, and honestly, in the past when I was an apprentice, you didn't even have a phone that could take a photo that you could show that to anybody, that they could see that or anything like that. And in that regard, you know, it's kind of like, we need to be sharing those things with people so that they can see, well, this is actually what we do. And, you know, in the past, in years past, that would be stories and whatnot that were passed down like orally to people, you know, sharing those things. So I think that we need to be doing that more. And that's why we're sitting here with you, because we want to know more about your story and what it is that, this is kind of a dangerous question for me to ask, but do you enjoy your work in the trades? Like, seriously, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been somewhat attracted to hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was always the one doing the yard work growing up.
Yeah.
That was a lot of it.
What is it about hard work that's attractive to you? Because there's a lot of people that it is not attractive to.
Yeah. I mean, thinking back on it now, it can be a great stress reliever.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. Like, seriously.
For how stressful it can be, doing hard work allows your body to do more hard work.
Yeah.
So when you're continually doing the hard work, it can actually, I've found that it actually helps relieve some stress.
It's really funny that you share it that way. I don't know if this was you or not, but where I was in the warehouse at the company where you actually work, and I was working with their team the other day, and I walked past they have like this whiteboard or whatever out in the warehouse, and somebody had wrote on the whiteboard, "Going through hard things gives you the ability to be able to do hard things."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that's really profound. And I think that that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize about the trades is it's hard work. And there's no escaping that. Like if you want in the trades, I actually get kind of frustrated and irritated when everybody is posting about, you can make six figures doing this. You can. It depends on where it is. And the reality is, and everybody says, well, it's not all about money, but we all know money matters. I mean, it
does.
I have a mortgage just like the rest of the world, or bills. Maybe you don't have a mortgage, maybe you have rent, maybe you have, auto insurance, whatever it might be. We need to make money to be able to live. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, the trades, if you don't have it in you for hard work, then it probably isn't for you, and you're not going to be able to fake it for the dollars. You won't. Yeah. And it's an exclusive club in that way where if you're not carrying your weight or pulling your way, the people in the trades, honestly, the people in the trades are some of the greatest salt of the earth people that that's why I love it so much. Just like any industry, you have people who I wish weren't in the industry, but they get dealt with pretty quickly. On that side of things, and also you get dealt with pretty quickly by the people if you're not going to work hard, and that's really not, I think, a reputation that you want to have in the trades. I mean, I recently saw you and your team working, and it was pouring down rain, and you were some of the only guys on the job site in the rain working, and it needed to get done, and nobody on your team was complaining or bitching or anything like that. So I'm curious. So you started out, you grew up in South Dakota, you went to Montana, your guidance counselors are talking to you about college. And so what changed that you ended up going into the trades? Did it have something to do with your family history or?
No, honestly. So I took a gap year after high school, went to a Bible college in the middle of nowhere in Montana called Montana Wilderness School of the Bible.
Well, that's a really creative name. Bible college called Montana Wilderness School of the Bible.
Yeah. And got to the end of that and still really didn't have any direction. So I took the summer and roofed for a company out in Montana.
Man, roofing there is a hard job.
Yeah, and I mean, it was only 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months, as I was kind of contemplating whether to go, actually go into like a university, or just kind of wing it.
Yeah.
So that kind of got me a taste for trade work, and kind of what that can do for my life. I don't know. Yeah. So I mean, part of it, I grew up. So this part of the hard work thing. I was a very skinny kid, like rail skinny.
Yeah.
So I always kind of had a, like, I'm too thin. I need to get bigger. I need to get stronger. I need to, and roofing did that in a way.
Yeah.
So that was that's kind of led me towards this, kind of helped me double down on the hard work part.
Yeah.
Of like, this can actually produce something.
Do you feel like hard work when you do it, and this is kind of a trick question because I'm pretty sure I know the answer, because I hate hard work, but I love the result, which is why I do it. And I love the way that I feel at the end of it. Like there's a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that I feel like I'm just made for it. And I feel a certain way when I avoid hard work, which does not feel great, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And I feel 180 degrees different when I do hard work, and it feels fulfilling. And there are tremendous benefits that come out of it. Whether it's, naturally, some of the benefits of bulking up and being healthy and those sorts of things, or whether it's the benefits of seeing success on our project or an opportunity, So I want to ask you a question. And I ask everybody this question, but what's a tool or a piece of gear, that you just can't live without? Do you understand what I mean when I ask that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Honestly, probably the notebook that I have sitting on the table. Did not mean for that to be a prop or anything. It was just in my back pocket. So, but I think the notebook has allowed me to empty my brain at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day. Just, I only have so much storage.
Yeah.
And recall.
Yeah.
So allowing stuff to be written down that I can move off to the side.
Sherlock Holmes was quoted as saying that there's only a finite amount of space up here. I mean, I know he's not a real person, but in the Arthur Conan Doyle books, that is one of the things that he stated. And I actually believe that's true. And when you talk about emptying it out at the end of the day, not only is it freeing, but I think it opens you up to more creative thought and problem solving, the ability to move through it. So that would be your one thing that you feel like you need to have is your notebook.
Yeah,
for sure. Do you typically write in it every day?
Not every day. I'm not in the habit of like journaling
Yeah.
or anything. I probably should be. But it is something that I'm getting to my last hour of the day or so, take 15 minutes and try and write down kind of whether it's planning, like a plan for the next day, or more or less what happened in the day.
Right.
Just to decompress a little bit in that way.
So you're attracted to hard work. That kind of led you into the trades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had that. It's funny that you had a job as a roofer for a few months in the summer. When I was in high school, that was how I'd make extra money in the summers. My buddy and I started a roofing company, which was a joke because we just went around and said, hey, you need a new roof? And they would say yes. And we would go buy the shingles and we put them on. So I apologize to anyone who maybe I put a roof on for. We thought we knew what we were doing, and we sure worked hard at it. But it was a great experience. But it also taught me that while hard work is good, I didn't want to work that hard, so I didn't become a roofer. Yeah. But having said that, like, so now you're in the trades, and you know we've talked a little bit outside of the podcast here, so I know a little bit of your story. And we've related together. So you started in an apprenticeship. You went through the apprenticeship. What would you say to people, like, why apprenticeship, and was that beneficial in going through that? And what was it that was beneficial to you about that? Like, what would you say to someone who's trying to make a decision? You know, we're coming up on fall. Apprenticeship is going to be starting up here in September. What would you say to people who are looking at, well, do I want to do that? Because like in electrical, which is what you're in, it's a 4-year program. That's a long time. Like you can go to college for 4 years and come out with a degree. You went through a 4-year apprenticeship program. What would you say to people in that situation?
Yeah. I mean, I think in an apprenticeship program, you're working the whole time.
Yeah.
So you're actually you're probably learning more on the job site than you are in the book, like when you're actually at class. But I found that the class is good for answering some of those questions that come up on a job site. Whether it's something with grounding or whatever that isn't really like your foreman might not know exactly how to answer why it's done this way.
Yeah.
Where the textbook can be a bit more in depth with why we do that. But I think honestly, an apprenticeship program is astronomically cheaper than a college degree.
Why is that? If you don't know the answer, I'm looking for a specific answer.
Right.
Related to, did you get paid when you were going through the program?
Yeah. Yeah. The whole time I'm working.
Yeah.
I was working. So, you're getting paid for the time that you're at work and you're learning at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and usually companies, and I'm not, usually companies are paying for you to go through that program. Like the program costs money, but usually the company is like, hey, if you're committed to be here, then we're gonna invest in you in this way, and there's a direct investment.
So I didn't have any money out of pocket to.
You just had to work hard.
Yeah, I just had to work hard. And I found that to be very beneficial. I could, after 4 years, I'm not racked with debt.
Yeah.
And I'm now like 4 years closer to to being a journeyman electrician. I'm
Right.
that much closer to eventually, hopefully, a master electrician license. You know, like,
Right.
Because it's easy to feel like if you have a bunch of peers that are in college,
Yeah.
that 4 years they're going to be so much more ahead of me because I'm just an apprentice and
Right.
they're going to have a degree. But then that kind of, at least for me, I found that it kind of flipped at 4 years because now I've got my 4 years of actual on-the-job skills training.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people with degrees are just now getting into a job.
You know, that's really insightful. And that's one of those things that I think that we really miss the level of importance of. I was just having this conversation with someone the other day about experience. And experience is a really unique thing because in the word, it says why it's so important. It's those experiences. Like you go through those experiences and honestly, having more of that experience in the workforce, I think it's like a leg up on, because when you go into a meeting and you know how to handle yourself in a meeting, or you go into a pre-planning meeting or a project meeting, or because you've spent 4 years having to relate with people, work alongside people, work through problems, work through issues. And not that you don't practice things like that in college, but it's like, it's the real deal when you're in the apprenticeship. Right. And again, like if you're going to college to become a doctor, you said about doctors, we need doctors. And I don't know that we want them, going out and trying heart surgery on your first, first few days. But the reality is, it's interesting how you say that it like flipped for you. You have your friends that are going through a 4-year program and then they're just starting in the workforce, and you've already been in the workforce for 4 years. Plus you have the knowledge and the experience, and you don't have the debt. Yeah. Like I would imagine most of your friends came out of college with debt that they had to get a job to work at in order to pay off that debt. Yeah. Which is a great feeling, by the way. There's nothing like having mountains of debt to feel like you're trapped in to pay it off. Right. Yeah. I remember when I bought my first house and everybody left. I was single, bought my first house, and had moved in that day, signed the papers, all that stuff. And I sat down and I looked at the mortgage paperwork and I was like, oh, shit. I have to work for the next 20 years. Like, it was like the first mindset of, oh my gosh, like I can't call in sick. Like and I was different than you. I didn't like run towards hard work. I liked the things that I got from hard work, but I needed something to motivate me. So that did really well for me, because then I worked harder because I wanted to get away from that. But so, you went through a program. You are a journeyman. You're managing a crew for an electrical construction and engineering firm. And what is your favorite part of the job that you currently do in your role?
Favorite part? I think it's getting the opportunity to lead other guys and girls that are under that are following behind. Not following behind. That's a bad way of putting it. But that I'm leading. Yeah. That really puts the onus on me to do right by them. Yeah.
And that's your favorite part of the job?
Yeah. It used to not be, but I've kind of, over the last year or two, I've tried to deliberately put myself in more and more uncomfortable positions. Things that I don't like to do.
You really like this hard work thing. Like you I heard you laughing back there. Shut up.
I don't think you can grow without that. Like,
You're talking about hardship now.
yeah. Again, it comes back to doing hard things. The more hard things you do, the more hard things you are able to do.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets you in that mindset of, well, yeah, it's hard, but so what?
Well,
I need to do it.
You've heard different people who've like started businesses, and you look at them and they're very successful. And I've heard many a guy say, "Well, if I would have known what it was going to take, I never would have done it." But you talk about that hard things and doing hard things, and at Blackline, one of our values is called grit, and we say that is having the courage to look at what's in front of you, the hard things, and to face them and to do them. And the interesting thing about that is the more that you do it, the more grit it gives you. The more it's kind of like a muscle that you work. Exactly. And the more that you can build that up, and it's kind of like, if you've ever lifted weights, it's like you do that and you work hard at that, well, then you can lift more, and then you can lift more, and then you can lift more. And then tying in with what you enjoy about your job in leading people, well, then you can help lead. And I don't want to say that you're carrying them, but you are blazing a trail for them. And sometimes I heard a guy once say, well, you need to grind your face off, which doesn't sound, all that great. There's an old adage of a saying, you need to have a face like flint, which is really, really hard. Mm-hmm. But being able to face things and blaze a trail and push through that, because that's what a leader is. A leader is someone who's willing to put their foot out and do it first. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, and then it provides a way for people to follow through, and you're creating other leaders. I actually believe, and I don't know if this is right or not, but I think everyone is a leader. It's just deciding how intentional you are about leadership.
Yeah.
And so, because you're affecting people around you. I remember a young man once who was like, he had charisma, and people they wanted to be around him. He was enjoyable. He was fun. And I remember pulling him aside and saying, you have a choice. I said, you are going to leave a legacy, and that all depends on what type of leadership you decide to do. And I said, if you're intentional about it, you can have a legacy of building into people and having people follow you to great places. Mm-hmm. If you're not intentional about it, people are still going to follow you, but they're going to follow you some pretty crappy places.
Yeah.
And that's going to end up being your legacy, is leading them into the desert, or leading them into, unnecessary hardship. That I hate.
Yeah.
I don't mind hard work, and I don't want to say I don't mind hardship. I hate hardship, but I love the results. I love the results, and honestly, the more that I experience them, the more that I want to face it, the more that I want to be able to put myself in those places, not because I'm, a masochist or anything like that, not because I just want to hurt, but I want to be able to experience the results that comes from working hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're leading people, and from what I'm hearing from what you're saying is you really enjoy being able to lead, and to lead to a positive place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that's something that, what is it in you? And I'm getting kind of personal here, but inside of Dax, what is it about that brings fulfillment to you and satisfaction to you?
I like to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
Success for myself is great, but that satisfaction I found only gets me so far.
Yeah.
So I like being able to see the younger guys, especially the younger guys, really grow and and know that like what I'm doing is affecting them.
Yeah.
And I really don't want that to be a negative experience.
Yeah.
So again, like that puts that onus of leadership on me to really work hard and strive to become a better leader.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. I think that that's something that when you talk about seeing others succeed, that is one of the greatest feelings. And especially, like I love a good underdog story, you know, and the funny thing is most of the world, I think, loves a good underdog story because Hollywood keeps pumping out movies about the underdog, and we want to see people succeed. And the reality is the more that you face hard things, the more that you have the grit to be able to face what's in front of you, the more that you're going to be able to have it, the more that you do that, the more opportunity of having a real underdog story of success is there.
Yep.
And we often tend, I think, to look at people and see them at their success points and not think about what it's taken to get there. I remember when I went into the apprenticeship program, and you talk about it being a 4-year program, and I was like, 4 years is so long. And I think it's pretty powerful to tap into the power of waiting and patience. And 4 years is not all that long. I'm a dad. I have seen my kids go from 0 to 18 in like 35 seconds. I remember people saying that to me that had more experience in life than I did, and experience is going through stuff. And they were right. I didn't believe them, but they were right. And so all of that being said, when you see other people succeed, and especially when it's someone that you've given an opportunity to, and I think that's something that I would want to touch on is I've been a part of those stories with people, and I've had to come to grips with just because someone looks like they will or will not succeed is not why I give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because some of the greatest success stories that I've been a part of, oh boy, were people that when I decided to be a part of leading them into that opportunity, I did not think that they were going to make it. If you know who you are and I'm talking about you, I'm so sorry. But I didn't think that you would make it. And then to see you make it and being willing to continue to do that. Now, then there were others that I thought would make it, and it was like, oh, this is so obvious, and they were epic fails. And that sucks because it's like, I don't want to be a part of those stories.
Yeah.
But the reality is I needed to develop the experience of both stories to be able to continue to hone that in and be successful. And if you don't want the hard work in whatever it is, then you're not going to be successful. And you can't make someone want that.
No.
You can't create that desire within them. They either have it or they don't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, the reality of hardship in that regard. I remember Dave Ramsey said that dyslexic people are hugely successful entrepreneurs. And he said because it's harder for them. Like they've had to figure out how to do this, and it was more difficult. And so I think that is one interesting thing that you talk about. You seek out hard situations to put yourself in, which is crazy, by the way.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I've just kind of forced myself that this is what you're going to do. So.
Well, and I mean, just so that we don't leave it on it kind of sucks, but like, have you seen benefit from that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Wasn't sure where you were going to go with that. No, it just sucks. Like, it just sucks.
Right. Yeah. No, it's, I'm very big on context. So it is hard to want to do something, especially new or something hard and new. But once I have that experience, it's kind of locked in.
Yeah.
And I can kind of glean from that experience and take it into the next similar encounter or opportunity to be able to navigate, I guess, navigate the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're leading a crew of people right now, and let's just kind of put ourselves, they're here in the room with us. We're sitting here, they're not here in the room with us. I'm saying, let's imagine that. What is it that you're wanting to encourage? Because I believe that, and that crew is made up of apprentices, laborers, journey persons. Those are people that you're leading right now, every day on the job. You literally came from them to here, to have this conversation with me. What are you wanting to say to those people from the young high school kid that this is his first job to, the guy that has been working at this constantly for as long as you have or longer?
Mm-hmm.
They're here in the room with us. What are you wanting to encourage them in what it is that you're doing in this day in and day out grind?
I mean, I'd say stay teachable.
So drill down on that for me. What does it mean to you to stay teachable?
You're never going to know everything. So when the opportunity comes to learn something new or learn something different than like a new process that is different than what you're used to.
Yeah.
Embrace it for what it is, as something new, something that you might be able to add it to your toolkit of experience. And whether you go ahead and you implement it every single day for the rest of your career, or it's just this one time, and then who knows, 20 years down the road, it's like, oh, there's a different way of doing this that is more beneficial, and me trying to do it the way I've always done it is just going to make my life harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you touch on something that's really interesting about experience. I think experience is one of the greatest tools in our toolkit that we can carry with us. And it's one of the things that I love about the trades. When you learn a trade, nobody can take it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can. You can lose it because you don't exercise it. But I mean, the reality is, I could still wire up a receptacle in my house. Probably, not probably. I can't even joke about this. I would not be anywhere near as fast as I would need to be out on the job. But I still have the knowledge to do that. But experience is one of those things. When you talk about teachability, experience is one of those tools that you actually, I don't believe that you can acquire valuable experience without teachability. And is what I mean by that is, whether you call it teachability or maybe you call it being coachable, or, being able, to go through lessons learned. I think we have this tendency, and I struggle sometimes with being coachable or being teachable. And the way that I struggle with that sometimes is, I used to anyway, but my experience of what I've learned is not getting offended. Because a lot of the experiences that I had coming up through the trades were not from philosophers or business coaches, or they were from the men and women who did the work. And it was usually in a situation where I had made a mistake that was frustrating, that maybe cost the company money or cost us time, which is costing money. But it was always cool when you made a mistake on a Friday afternoon and everybody had to stay late. Not saying that was me, but the reality is the things that I needed to learn, that I needed to be teachable about, as you say, weren't always presented to me in a way that was, I'll call it palatable. They weren't presented. And a matter of fact, probably the number one thing that I learned and my experience taught me was to not only be teachable, but to, in order to be teachable based on the definition that you and I have been talking about, is that I didn't let myself get offended. Because I would say 98% of the time, it's not presented in an effective way to receive.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if you can't be coachable or teachable, then the experience that you gain doesn't become a valuable tool. Mm-hmm. It actually doesn't have any value then. Like, you can have all the experience in the world of going through things, but if you still make the same stupid choices, then what have you learned? And if you haven't learned from it, well, then you're an idiot. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. There was probably a nicer way to say that. But for me, it was to make teachability a valuable thing for my experience to become valuable, was learning when people said things, and sometimes people would say things and they would be downright hurtful. Like, they were not communicated in a way, and I personally don't think that we have an exclusive on this as the trades. I've seen it everywhere. I have friends who were in the military, and drill instructors are not known for presenting things in a palatable way, but they're teaching some pretty important things that you want to make sure that you listen and understand and learn, because you'll die if you don't. And I think it's similar in life. If you're not building valuable experience, then you're not putting tools in your toolkit that you have to be able to use. Yeah. And so for me, it was learning to not be offended when people say things. And let me just say, you want to talk about hard work? That is really hard.
Yes, it is.
And the older we get, it's even harder than that. Because the older that you get, this is what I will say is the vicious thing about experience, especially when you start to get a modicum, I think that's the right word. I'm trying to sound really educated here. A modicum of success. You start to get successful at things, and then you're like, who are they to tell me this? You know, and it really, really starts when people start to ask you advice, because that feels good. You know, people are like, well, what do you think? How should I do this? You know, I had someone reach out to me just today, and they were like, hey, I want to talk with you. I want to do a podcast, and I want to ask you some advice about how to do a podcast. And I'm like, what? And not that I was offended by it or anything like that, but I'm still in the stage where I'm like, well, what do I know about doing a podcast? And I really don't. There are other people here that know about that. But the reality is, we start to get experience and like, well, let me tell you. You know, it starts to feed our ego. And And as that happens, that's when it gets way more difficult to be teachable or coachable or to be of a learning mindset, especially when we get good at things. Mm-hmm. You know, the more, I wish there was a better way to say it other than more good. You know, you're good with words. He says. But the more that you garnish skill in the experience of what you're learning, the more that you tend to be like, well, I don't really need to learn about this. I do it really well. Yeah. And
you let that ego win. Man. And boy, does it want to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you just kind of need to punch it down.
Yeah. How do you do that? Do you stand in front of the mirror and just punch yourself in the face? I don't
know. It's a lot of self-checks. Just even throughout the day. Sometimes life kind of checks you too.
That's been most of my experience, actually. Whenever my ego gets up there, it doesn't matter if I'm offended or not. Life, and it's like a check in hockey.
Yeah, it'll put you in the boards real quick
for sure.
Yeah. I think I've had to become very self-aware
Yeah, there it is.
that when my head's feeling very inflated, that like your head could easily pop, and now you're completely deflated, and now you're so reliant on your ego to build you up that you have no foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, ego's like a house of cards.
Yeah.
For sure. And you touch on self-awareness. I think that's something that, like being coachable, like being teachable, we really need to work at being aware, because I actually think that's something that's really lacking in culture and society right now is a self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that I know how to do that is to surround myself with people who are willing to have hard conversations with me, to help me, because I think we're naturally self-centered, not self-aware.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're naturally like, well, it's about me, where we need to be changing our point of view to, well, how does it look to that person, or how does it look over there? How does that affect this, and how do I do that? That's the way to success. But it's like, if we're not focused and applying self-awareness, which is bringing people into our orbit who are willing to say, you know what, they're willing to offend us.
Yeah.
They're willing to offend us. And that's the only way that I've been able to become self-aware. And honestly, oh, shit, man. Honestly, it's been really, really hard. Like, the reality is it's really hard. And that's an area that I desire to face those hardships, because honestly, I've seen people that aren't self-aware that have a great ego. And I'm like, I do not want to look like that, because everybody in the room knows that they're a moron, except for them.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's like the emperor has no clothes. The whole read some fairy tales or I don't know, legends or whatever. But if you don't know what that alludes to, but I think that's we do need to look for the hard things because they make us better. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading about, and this was a few years ago, the refinement of gold.
Oh, yeah.
And what that is. And, you heat it up and all of the garbage boils to the top, and then they pull it off.
Right.
But it's like gold has to be heated to a point for that to happen, which then creates more value.
Mm-hmm.
I love how just in life you can see the different things. And so it's like, that's hard, but it's like people want more of that than they want of the other aspect of it. And so just that importance of going after that stuff. Yeah. Wow. So I want to ask you another question, and this has been a really good conversation, and I think it's interesting. I mean, you're one of the guys out there with the screwdriver in his hand, with the lineman's pliers in his hand. You're doing the work. You're in the dirt. I mean, my goodness, your boots are dirty. I actually went outside and put some dirt on my boots before you came, so that way, I'd look the part as well. But I want to ask you this question, and for me, this is one of the things that I believe that brings the podcast the most value. And it comes down to you being vulnerable. And I'll let you ask me the question if you want to as well, but I'm going to ask it first because this is my podcast.
Yeah.
What is a mistake that you've made in life or in your career that you're willing to share with those of us, with me and whoever might be listening to this, that you're willing to share with us that you've made, that you've learned from?
Yeah. Believing that I can do it all myself.
Nobody in this trades actually struggles with that. That's just a you thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's all me. Yeah, it's something I've had to really focus on, and I still fail at it constantly. Yeah, there's not any one thing that I can do out on the job site by myself. I might be able to do the work, me personally, but without my project manager,
Right.
I don't have the work to do.
Yeah. Right.
Without the people that I lead, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Because I'm one person working 9 hours in a day,
Right.
but I can have 6 or 7 people working for 8-9 hours in a day, and so I've 7x'd
Right.
my productivity by allowing other people to do the work, and I can provide them with the material and the resources to actually get the work done.
Yeah.
And then like when I'm struggling in a stressful situation, my goal has or my mindset is I can do it. I'll just buckle down. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's when it's very, very important for me to communicate to my project manager, to the more experienced guys in the company that are able to kind of speak into the situation.
Mm.
So yeah, there's not any one thing that I can do on my own.
So when you talk about that, and I love that because I love the power of team and perspective, I think is essential in everything that we do. I'm going to push you a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's face some hard stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share us, for instance, on the job when that's happened to you, a negative when you're like you tried to do it all yourself, and yeah. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm just.
No.
You said you liked hard things, so I thought I'd just push a little bit.
Yep, and that's where I like to remember the result of the experience, not the experience itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been probably countless amount of times where it's deadlines coming up on a project, and I've got more work that needs to get done than feels physically possible.
There are a bunch of people out there listening right now that just like connected with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And my mindset is to, all right, I'm going to work a 20-hour day.
Yeah.
To get this done. It's only one thing. It's not like
Right.
There's a bunch of things down on the list. So I crossed one thing off, but it's only me.
Right.
That doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Yeah.
Makes me more tired.
Yeah.
And less able to lead and plan for the next day for the people that I have working under me to do their job. So it's like it's probably more effective for me to call on the whole team to unfortunately work a little bit later.
Right.
I don't like doing that, but
Right.
Sometimes that's the.
But when you call on the whole team, what would have been a 20-hour day for you might just be an extra few hours for everybody.
Yeah.
And I would assume when you get into that, like, tunnel vision, we'll call it, it's like I would assume that also, if I were you, that would build resentment in me. That would build anger in me. That would build frustration in me. And all of those things would continue. So I assume that you've experienced both, because you're talking about this is a mistake that you have made. We're talking about teachability. We're talking about learning from these things. And so it's like you've clearly done it both ways. When you've asked people, and maybe it's even you've come up with a problem or whatever, and you talk a lot about your project manager and reaching out to him. What happens when you do that and you reach outside of yourself instead of being like, well, I just got to do it all myself?
Yeah.
Like,
Reaching out to others allows for their perspective on the situation.
What does that do for your awareness and your view of the problem or the issue or whatever it is that you're facing?
I'd say it kind of does the same as the Notebook. It kind of gets it out of only in my head, where everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it gets it out, and it can be the problem can be kind of soundboarded across different perspectives, different points of view perspective. It's the same word, but
But no, I mean, that makes sense to me. I personally, I've been in that very experience. I've done it both ways. I don't want to do it the what I'll call the negative way, where it's like, well, I just need to do this and I just need to figure it out. I struggle a lot with, like, I feel very responsible for things.
Yeah.
And I don't know what trauma I experienced as a child that brought this upon me, but it's like, I often feel like when something goes wrong or there's an issue, I'm like, well, that's obviously my fault. It's obviously my fault, and I need to make it right, and I need to figure that out. I remember just a few months ago, this happened to me, and I probably maybe shared this. I don't know, maybe not. But I was in a situation, and it was a legal situation, and someone had reached out to me, and they were like, well, what do we do about this? And I'm like, well, I felt responsible. I needed to figure this out, and went in my office, and I closed the door, and I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what to do. I don't know how we respond to that. I don't know what we do with this. And finally, I came to the point after, like, not literally, but pretty close to beating my head against the wall, trying to come up with a solution. Mm-hmm. Finally, I sent an email out, and I said to the team, I said, listen, can we just take 30 minutes and, I'll come to your office, and it was a leadership team. And I was like, I want to process this issue with you. And so there was like 4 or 5 other people there. And I go, and the discussion and these things are happening, and they're going around, and someone makes a statement, and just what you talked about, from their point of view, that triggered a thought in my brain that I couldn't trigger myself. Mm-hmm. And that thought led to a solution which totally destroyed the problem. And it was not a big deal. And it was like, that never would have happened had I not reached out and made the phone call and said, hey, can we get together and can we problem solve this? Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think one of the main reasons, and I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking for me, but one of the main reasons that we don't do that and we go after I just got to do this myself, is ego and pride.
Definitely.
Yeah, ego and pride. Like, for me, that's what it is, because it's like, well, I don't want you to know that I don't know the answer. I don't want you to know that I don't know how to do this. My goodness, I have a title of chairman and CEO. Well, I need to know. Well, I have to know how to do that. No, honestly, is all that means is I don't know how to do it. And if I'm going to be a good leader, I'm going to be a good CEO, I'm going to be a good boss. That means I'm going to be honest about the fact that I don't know. And the quicker I can be honest about, the quicker that we can get to the solution and we can all win.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I think that we really need to, you talked about punching it in the face. I need to punch my pride in the face. I need to punch my ego in the face. I mean, until it is just unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Because it does not bring me any benefit at all. So. Well, Dax, I really appreciate you sitting down and having this conversation. I appreciate what you do out on the job every day. Like, you're one of the guys that's doing the work. You are out there sweating in the heat. You're working with the people. You're leading young men and young women and influencing them for the trades. And not because the trades are better than college or anything like that, but you're influencing them and building into them for their character and their career and for their future because you want to see their success. Yeah. And so, we do want to write the underdog stories, and we want to be a part of that. And I know that you have been. I know that I've seen some of those, and I'm greatly appreciative of you coming and sitting down and having this conversation with me here today. So, thanks for stepping up to the line.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's not exactly something I wanted to do, but gotta love the hard work sometimes.
You do, and
do the hard thing.
I'm really grateful for it. So, and we're gonna publish it all over the internet so that everybody can see. So they won't be able to miss you because the shirt that you're wearing here today.
Yeah.
So you should have thrown some dirt on that because it looks pretty clean. I'm just saying.